Hi, I'm Nine. Welcome to The Gist. News of J.K. Rowling's latest book, Troubled Blood, has sparked outrage on social media. An early write-up suggests that the book finds her private detective protagonist, Cormoran Strike, investigating a cis male serial killer who dresses as a woman to kill his cis female victims. According to The Telegraph, the meat of this 900-page novel is an investigation into a cold case. The disappearance of a woman in 1974 believed to be a victim of a cis male serial killer whose modus operandi is dressing as a woman. Troubled Blood is the fifth entry in Rowling's Cormoran Strike series, penned under the pseudonym Robert Galbraith, and its first review described it as a book whose moral seems to be never trust a man in a dress. Good Morning Britain's Piers Morgan and musical double act Jedward found themselves locked in a fiery Twitter spat over the new book. Jedward penned a scathing tweet which read, "Does anyone need firewood this winter? JK's new book is perfect to burn next to a romantic fire. Get all cozy and comfy. Can't wait." Piers weighed in on the debate by suggesting that we burn the music double act's back catalogue. But Jedward snapped back, "It's a joke, Piers. You know, like your life." Supporting a book about a serial killer man who dresses as a woman to kill his victims that's being released when trans people are actually being targeted and killed isn't a good look. Even for you. Guess who's going to be joining Jedward around the open fire? The highest court in France has ruled that a transgender woman cannot be recognised as the biological mother of the child she conceived with her wife. The applicant, who was born male, was recognised as a woman by French authorities in 2011. She then had a child with her wife in 2014, having not undergone the operation to have her male reproductive organs removed. She has fought ever since to be recognised as the child's second mother and not father. In 2018, an appeals court in the city of Montpellier ascribed her the status of biological parent, a new category. But the Cour de Cassation threw out most of the rulings on Wednesday and referred the case back to a lower court for a new hearing. The woman's lawyer, Celia Richards, described the ruling as a lost opportunity and said the fight is unfortunately not over. The Barbados government has signalled its intentions to recognise same-sex relationships. Governor General Dame Sandra Mason opened a new term of the Bajan Parliament by reminding the people of the island that they have always been in the vanguard of pioneering social justice, the protection of civil rights, and the battle to ensure dignity to the poor, marginalised, vulnerable, and dispossessed. Our generation must do no less, for compassion, decency, empathy, kindness, fairness and justice are what characterises us as people, she said. As the legal system of modern society recognises many different forms of human relationships, Barbados has increasingly found itself on international lists which identify the island as having poor human rights records. Dame Sandra said on this matter, "The world has spoken. If we want to be considered among the progressive nations of the world, Barbados cannot afford to lose its international leadership place and reputation. Nor can a society as tolerant as ours allow itself to be blacklisted for human and civil rights abuses or discrimination on the matter of how we treat human sexuality and relations. My government is prepared to recognise a form of civil union for couples of the same gender," adding that this would ensure that no human being in Barbados will be discriminated against in exercise of civil rights that ought to be theirs. The proposal has not been received well by church leaders in Jamaica. Reverend Peter Garth, president of Jamaica Association of Evangelicals, said, "I think Barbados is on the wrong road and what is going to cost them is frightening." Back in Barbados, the Governor General said, "I wish to emphasise that my government is not allowing any form of same-sex marriage and will put this matter to a public referendum. My government will accept and be guided by the vote of the public, as promised in the manifesto. Let's hope the people of Barbados make the right choice." We're still in the Caribbean, but Over in Dominica, churches have delayed changes to the nation's anti-sodomy laws by barging their way into a lawsuit at what was meant to be the final case management conference before the start of the constitutional challenge to Dominica's anti-sodomy laws. The Dominica Christian Council applied and received the court's permission to intervene in this case. This means that the case, which was further delayed, and another case management hearing will now take place on November the 23rd. Many are questioning what the Dominican Christian Council can add to this case, as it is a challenge to the ban on private consensual same-sex activity and in no way touches on religious freedom. There is no attempt to force the churches to support same-sex intimacy, and even if the law was struck down, as is happening around the world, churches would still be at liberty to preach against homosexuality, in the same way that the legalization of divorce did not prevent some churches from continuing to condemn this practice. The coordinated delay tactic has been compared to that of church groups across the Caribbean. As an example, the Jamaican case challenging anti-sodomy laws was filed in 2015, suffering multiple adjournments after 10 religious groups applied for interested party status. The case in Jamaica is now scheduled to have another preliminary hearing in March 2021, nearly 6 years after the matter was first filed. The position of the Dominica Christian Council is at odds with the Catholic Bishop of Roseau. The bishop said that the Catholic Church did not support the anti-sodomy laws. This is simply a case of justice delayed is justice denied. Former Florida candidate Andrew Gillum came out as bisexual last week. Gillum disclosed his sexuality in his first sit-down interview since March, when police found him inebriated and unconscious in a South Beach, Miami hotel room with 2 men. Drugs were found at the scene, although Gillum denied he used illegal substances and was not arrested. The incident generated speculation that the former Tallahassee mayor and married father of 3 was gay. Talking to talk show host Tamron Hall, Gillum said, "I don't identify as gay, but I do identify as bisexual, and that is something that I have never shared publicly before." The truth is that Tamron, everyone believes the absolute worst about that day, Gillum added. "At this stage, I don't have anything else I have to say, I have to conceal." Gillum isn't the first bisexual politician in the United States, but he is certainly the most prominent black man to come out in such a way. In relation to the news, Alfonso David, president of the Human Rights Campaign, the largest LGBT rights groups in America, said, "Coming out is a deeply personal decision and is one that looks different for each individual. But regardless of the circumstance, anyone who comes out deserves respect and openness." And David Jones, executive director of the National Black Justice Coalition, a black LGBT civil rights organization, said, "Black members of the LGBTQ+ community across the country watched Andrew Gillum's interview with Tamron Hall today with empathy and love. And so many of us can relate to the complex issues and feelings he conveyed." Gillum told Hall, "Bisexuality is just something different. I just believe that love and sexuality exist on a spectrum. All I care about is what's between us and what agreement we make." Now that's beautiful. And finally, the 46th season of Saturday Night Live will include its first out black LGBTQ cast member, Punky Johnson. Saturday Night Live is a comedy talk show hosted by celebrity guests that parody contemporary culture and politics. Johnson, a New Orleans native and self-described brutally honest Southern lesbian, is a triple threat with a background that includes stand-up comedy, acting and writing. She has performed regularly at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles and was featured as a new face at last year's Just for Laughs festival in Montreal. Punky Johnson will join LGBTQ cast members Kate McKinnon and Bowen Yang for the gayest season of SNL yet. That's the gist this week. My name's Nine. Thank you for watching.